Greetings viewers and welcome to the Sage 200 Discounts webinar. Our webinar today will consist of the following: an introduction to discounts, the defaults and setup of discounts, document discounts, volume discount contracts, automatic discounts, discount matrix, customer discounts, and supplier discounts. Now, within Sage Evolution, you really have two platforms for discounts. Firstly, you have document discounts, which are applicable when a transaction is processed, for example, an invoice or a goods received voucher supplier invoice. Then secondly, we have settlement discounts, which are applicable when payments are made to suppliers or payments are received from customers. So we're covering those two platforms within our webinar. Now, when it comes to document discounts, obviously discounts are applicable at the point of transaction in order to increase sales. For example, discounts may be offered for a certain time period, as well as a certain volume or increased quantity of goods purchased. Discounts can then be applied under those circumstances. On the other side, where you have settlement discounts, discounts would be applied, for example, to encourage the payment of outstanding amounts. For example, you may include, allow your customers to have certain discounts if they pay their accounts outstanding amounts within a certain time period. So, as I say, two platforms, document discounts versus settlement discounts. Now, if we go into Sage Evolution, we'll be dealing first with the setup of settlement discounts. So if I refer to or revert to my customers, and under maintenance, we have settlement terms, which we're going to be setting up here. And these are simply a settlement term, which is going to encourage my customers to pay the outstanding amounts on time, if it's paid within a certain time period. So I'm going to say, for example, give it a name and a description. And very importantly, I can specify if the discount is applicable from the date of invoice or the date of statement. Date of invoice simply means is that it's the date after a certain number of days from the transaction was processed. Date of statement, on the other hand, refers to a certain number of days from when the statement has been issued. Statements are obviously normally issued at the end of a period, so I can certainly specify which payment method of discount is going to be applicable on the settlement term. So if I, for example, say date of statement, and I can say 30 days from date of statement, and I'm going to allow for a 7% discount. Right, so that's our first discount type, and then we're going to set up another one, which is going to be date of invoice. So date of invoice, and if I say it's 30 days from the invoice date, and I'm then going to give, for example, a 10% discount. So it simply means is that if the transaction is processed on today's date and it's paid within 30 days of today's date, a 10% settlement discount will be applicable on that payment for customers. So really an incentive for you to encourage your customers to pay their accounts on time, which obviously if that is the case, then ensuring that you've got a good cash flow situation and that you've collected all outstanding monies from your customers within a relevant time period. Once it has been completed, we would then need to go to the individual customer accounts and then go and link that settlement discount type to the customer. So on customer records, we've got a settlement terms option. On the drop down, simply go and select the relevant discount, settlement discount terms for that customer. And we'll do that one over there. Right, simple as that. So on the other hand, we can also implement settlement terms for our suppliers. So these are simply a settlement term, maybe a negotiation that you're going to take in with your suppliers, that should you pay them within a certain time frame, you'll be entitled to have a certain discount on the payment amount. So once again, under suppliers, maintenance, we've got settlement terms. And what you'll notice is that the terms or the settlement terms that I've set up under my customers are also available here. So as you can see, obviously setting up or coming from the same SQL table, and I can then go set up a settlement terms or settlement terms for my suppliers. And once again, either date of statement or date of invoice. I can say, for example, if I pay, for example, under 15 days from date of statement, be entitled to a whopping 20% discount, which really is a great incentive for me to pay my suppliers early and obviously make full use of the discount that I'm going to be receiving. And then further to that is, once again, we need to go to our individual supplier accounts, open up that supplier account, and we can then go and link the relevant settlement term to that supplier. Right, so there we go. Now, the next discount we've got available is something called automatic discounts. So as the name implies, it's an automatic discount, which is applicable or you can set up for your customers or your suppliers. And the essence here is that it's an automatic discount on any transaction, irrespective of what you're purchasing, the quantity you're purchasing, when you're purchasing the item. So I'm just going to revert back to my customers, and you'll notice that on the actual customer account, there is an option for automatic discount. So I can, for example, insert an automatic discount there, and it will then be applicable for that customer. If I then go to my suppliers, I can also negotiate, for example, an automatic discount for my suppliers, so that irrespective of what I'm purchasing, when I'm purchasing, or the quantity, I can then obtain an automatic discount. Right, so that's the first part of it. Now, what we need to then go do is, to ensure that this automatic discount is applicable, we would need to go to inventory maintenance and onto our inventory defaults. And if I go to my invoices, you'll see that there's an option that says use automatic discounts. So that option would need to be selected. And on the credit notes, I need to make the same selection there. On the supplier side, I need to go to the goods received vouchers option. And once again, just make sure that automatic discount is selected, and also on return to supplier. So this ensures that when processing supplier or customers transactions for a specific customer, that automatic discount is going to be applicable. So remember is that this is a discount which is linked under an option which is for the document discounts. So let's just go check what's happened. And I'm going to just go to process a GRV, and we'll see exactly how that automatic discount is applicable. Right, so transactions. Goods received voucher. And let's just go find that supplier, and automatically you see as soon as I go select that supplier account, I've got an automated document discount based on what's linked to the supplier's account. So I'm just going to bring in some stock items, and in this case, really make full use of the discount that I'm going to be receiving. Right, so as you can see, irrespective of the quantity being purchased or the date or the transaction, I'm going to receive a 25% discount, and it tells me exactly what those details are there. So I'm just going to process the supplier invoice, and we're good to go. Right, so if I now go to my invoices, and let's just go find that customer. So once again, automatically when selecting the customer, as you can see, my discount percentage appears there. Right, so and just go and process a couple of line items on that transaction. Right, and we're good to go together with the automatic discount which is allocated to the customer's account. Okay, let's just try a different stock item then. Okay, there we go. Right, so before we continue, let's just go and look at certain types of discounts on the document itself. So firstly is that we've dealt with automatic discount, but if I select a customer, what you notice is that on this particular customer's account, there's a settlement discount linked. So automatically it displays what is the settlement terms for that customer. And then on our line items, what you'll also notice is that we can also implement a discount percentage per line item. So whichever discount may be applicable, I can always just go and, if necessary, implement a discount percentage on certain line items within the transactions. That's also applicable, for example, under customers or when processing GRVs under your supplier accounts. So I'm going to say, for example, there's a 5% discount on that line item on this product. However, on this particular item, there's no discount, etc. So as you can see, I can be quite flexible with which line items I decide to apply my discount to on the transaction itself. And we'll give that particular line item maybe a 7% discount. There we go. So, right, no problem there. Process the invoice. We've allocated discount to certain percentages or of certain percentages on certain line items. And then also displaying the customer settlement terms on that transaction. And if we then go to our GRVs, supply invoices, you'll see that we also have the ability to add discount percentage there if need be. And process that transaction. Right, so the other type of discount we have is something called a volume discount contract. So as the name implies, it's a discount which is applicable on certain volumes purchased or sold based on a specific date range. So if we go to, and this can be implemented for customers and suppliers. So under my customers option, I'm going to go through to the volume discount contracts. And as you can see, I've got contracts there. And if I'm going to be adding one, firstly, you notice is that you can implement a volume discount contract for all customers, a group of customers, or actual or individual customers. So I can say this particular customer is going to be available for volume discount contract. And just insert a name together with a description there. I can also, if need be, just place the contract on hold for whatever reason. And once I've done that, then I need to go to specify which items are applicable to this contract. So once again, I can, on my item side, I can specify that the contract is applicable to a certain inventory item, a group of inventory items, or all items. So if I say it's an inventory item only, I'm going to go find this particular item on item, and I'm good to go. Now, the important thing here is that this particular contract or contracts are also date driven. So provided that the transaction takes place within an effective date and expiry date, the volume discount will be applicable. If the transaction, however, falls outside that date period, the normal recommended selling price will then be applicable. So I'm just going to specify a certain date range for this contract. And I can also have discount either via discount percentage or a certain unit price. So if I just go to this item itself, and I'm going to edit the item, and we'll be able to see, if I go to my pricing option, you'll see that the recommended selling price of this item is 89. However, I'm going to make it quite feasible for people to buy a lot more quantities of this item by implementing it or adding it to my volume discount contract. So what I'm saying here, we need to set up our different levels of discount, and you can obviously have multiple levels. So what I'm saying here is that 3, so I'm just going to make it a unit price. And if I say unit price, I can either link it to an exclusive or an inclusive unit price that the discount is going to be applicable to. So I'm going to say, add another one. I'm going to say from So as you can see, what I've set up here is my different levels. And what I'm saying currently is that on the first level, that if I were to purchase up until 1 or 2 items, the normal price would be applicable. Between 3 and 6 items, I'm going to be paying 79, which is a discount of 10 Rand. And then between 8, or between 7 and 13 units, the price will be 65. And if I decide to purchase 14 or more units, it's going to be a whopping saving of almost 40 Rand, where I'll be paying 49 Rand for those units each, which really is a great incentive to purchase people to buy in bulk from you by implementing volume discount contracts, provided that they're purchased within that date range. So we're going to say okay to that. Before we continue, let's just confirm or reiterate that volume discount contracts are linked to customers and stock items. So it's either going to be an individual customer, a group of customers, or all customers. And then on the second part, it's going to be linking that contract to certain stock items, be it all stock items, an individual item, or a group of items. And then very importantly, specifying the date on which that particular contract is applicable, the start and end date, and is a discount going to be based on a price or a percentage? And if it's a price, is it going to be based on inclusive or exclusive values? And then simply a case of going to go specify the levels and the different quantities and discount prices that you're going to be allowing for discount based on those quantities purchased. Right, so there we go. And then we're now going to go run this option on Invoice just to see exactly how that volume discount comes into effect. So under transactions, I'm going to go to Invoice. And let's just go find that customer. Right, so no problem there. I'm just going to go and find the item. Right, so one item purchased, normal selling price. Let's just make that 2 items, no problem there, normal selling price. Right, so let's just go see, we've now got additional line item, and we're now going to make that 5. So as you can see, once again, on 5 items, there's going to be a discount of 10. No problem there, as the invoice date falls within the date range of my contract. And there we go. Now we're going to make use, for example, 11. 65 Rand is now the cost. And then lastly, if the customer decides to purchase really in bulk and a large quantity of items, I'm now going to say that, for example, purchasing 20 units. So as you can see, there's a huge saving. So based on what quantity being purchased, obviously we're going to have those options available. And let's just do a couple of options here. So I'm certainly just going to process this transaction. No problem. So as you can see, based on the quantities, the discount prices will then be applicable. And if need be, I could also add a further line discount percentage if required. And no problem there, simply because the invoice date or the transaction date falls within the relevant effective period for the volume discount contract. So process an item and we're good to go. Right, so let's do that again. We're going to go back into same customer and we're then going to make a couple of changes here and ensure that this particular transaction falls outside of the effective start and end date for the contract. And what you'll see there is that irrespective of the quantity being purchased, the sale price is going to be the normal selling price simply because the transaction falls outside that particular date range. Right, let's just revert that back and we'll put proper date there and automatically you'll see that it's now reverted back to the price which is applicable based on my contract. If I then go and, for example, change the customer and let's just say save that. Let's just clear that. This is put back the customer. There we go. Okay, just go clear this line and let's just go find another customer. Okay, same price applies. So as I can say, the important thing to understand or understand here is that obviously volume discount contracts are applicable if it's a customer, based on the customer, the date of the invoice, or the transaction, and also the quantity purchased. Obviously, if the contract was set up for all customers, then all customers would obviously obtain that discount if the transaction was within the date range and the quantities were being sold as per the level set up. Right. Now we're then just going to go to our suppliers, and under our suppliers, we are also able to set up volume discount contracts. Obviously, this is quite useful for you as an organization where you're negotiating certain maybe contracts with your suppliers, and obviously if you're purchasing from them in bulk, that you are entitled to make use of the full discount that they're going to be offering you. So if I go to my suppliers, right, so we've got volume discount contracts there, and once again, the same applies. It's going to be for a supplier, a group of suppliers, or all suppliers. And I'm then going to go and say, that's the supplier. And I now need to simply go and link a stock item, an item group, or all items to the contract. And let's just go find the item. Right, make it applicable. Unit price. Right, so let's just go and run that option now, and we'll see exactly how that's going to work. So if I now go to my inventory, goods received voucher, right, there's my supplier, date range is in order, and we'll go find the item. Right, no problem there. Up until 2, also going to pay that price. Right, so once again, as you can see, works in the same way as your customer volume discounts. Goes and checks that the date range is in order, that that particular supplier is linked to a contract, and then obviously based on the quantity levels, that determines exactly what the price is going to be charged for the item. And if need be, you can also go and specify a discount line item. And furthermore, is that you could perhaps on this particular supplier have negotiated a further automatic discounts. As you can see, those discounts would all add up if you were to process within that combination. Right, so as the name says, it's a volume discount, which means you're going to get a discount for the large number of volumes that you are purchasing. Right, then we have something similar, or a different type of discount, which is going to be something called a discount matrix. So the discount matrix really is a scenario where you're going to link inventory items to customers, inventory items to suppliers, and based on a certain grid, you're then going to be applicable or going to allow for a certain discount to be taken. So if I go to my customers option, we have an option that says discount matrix. And what you'll see here is a grid consisting of a Y and an X axis. On the X axis, we've got levels for inventory items, and on the Y axis, levels for certain customers. So I'm just going to create certain categories. So I'm going to say, for example, it's going to be linked to my inventory items, and then on the vertical side, I'm going to have our customers. So I'm going to say, for example, okay, so once I've got that set up based on my customer categories or types, etc., as well as my inventory items, I now need to go complete the grid with different discount percentages. So I'm just going to use a couple of percentages, for example, like 10, Right, so you would obviously, as an organization, determine how you're going to structure your discount grid. And I've done mine. I'm just going to just create a screenshot of this so we can just refer to it later when we do the transaction and see exactly how that's calculated within the transactions. Right, so we've done that and that's been completed. And now, there we go. Let's just check that where we go. We've got our discount matrix there. Okay. And we're now going to go set up a discount matrix for our suppliers. Right, so very similar. We've got our inventory items on the horizontal, and then on the vertical this time we're going to have our suppliers. I'm going to say, for example, okay, and then here we're just going to have right, so I'm just going to just complete the grid now with my different discounts. Right, so there's my grid completed. And let's just make a screenshot of this so we can then refer to it later. Right. So as I mentioned earlier, is that we now need to go, this is a discount which is linked once again to an inventory item as well as a customer account or supplier account. So I'm just going to go firstly to one of my customers, and then on their account, I'm going to go link a certain matrix to them. So just go to that one. And what you'll notice is that there's a discount matrix option there. On the drop down, I'm going to find, for example, a particular type of discount and say okay to that. And if I then go back to my inventory items, I now need to go link one of those discount matrices to the actual inventory item. Right, let's just go find the item. Okay, so there we go. And what you'll see there is that under our defaults, we have got two options for a sales matrix and a purchases matrix. So I'm going to look at the sales option, and I'm then going to go find a certain category to link it to based on whatever discount I'm going to be allowing that item is being sold. Right, so we're good to go. And let's just go see exactly how that works when processing transactions. Inventory, transactions, and if I go to my invoice, okay, what's important there? There's the customer linked to the row, and very importantly, I'm going to go find that item. Right, so automatically it's putting my discount percentage on the line item due to the fact that there's a combination or a link between this customer and this particular stock item. Just go check how it's come about. So if I open up my discounts, you'll see that the customer and there's the one. So as you can see now, we've allowed, in this particular instance, a 17% discount on that line item. And if I check it out, you'll see that it's where the two meet. So customer was linked to type 02 and the stock item to category 04. Where those two meet, that's which discount is applicable. Remember, the discount matrix is linked to individual customers and individual stock items. So as you can see, where those two meet on the grid, that's which discount is applicable. And the important thing to remember is that discount matrices are linked to the grid. So irrespective of the quantity I'm purchasing of the item, the discount will remain the same, and it's not dependent on, for example, the date when the transaction is processed. Right, so there you go, change the dates. However, the discount percentage remains the same, even if I change the quantity. So as you can see, it's a one-to-one relationship between a stock item and the customer account. Right, no problem there. Process the transaction. So let's just go look now at the supplier side of discount matrices. We've set up a matrix already, and now we just once again need to go to a supplier's account, an individual supplier's account, and then go and link it to there. So if I go, for example, to that supplier, I'm now going to go to the discount matrix row and say, right, it's that particular link or that particular option. And if I then revert back to the inventory item, if you recall previously, there were two options there. There was a sales matrix and a purchases matrix. So I'm going to go in there, and this time I'm going to open up the purchases matrix and just make that, for example, 1, and we'll see how that discount comes about in the line item from here. Right, so it's a good received voucher. And let's just go find that supplier. Okay, nothing yet as a fact because we need to go select the stock item. There we go. And automatically you see that by purchasing this item from that supplier, I'm going to be entitled to a whopping 32% line discount, which really is a great deal. So there we go. And then obviously I can increase the quantities to however many. Same discount applies. And once again, not specific to the date when the transaction is processed. Right, so there we go. Simple as that. Just remember, discount matrices linked. It's a one-to-one per customer or supplier linked to an individual stock item. Right, simple as that. So those are the document discounts I've been referring to. And now let's just go check. Initially, we spoke about the settlement discounts, which are discounts which are going to encourage your customers to pay you, when in actual fact for you to pay your suppliers on time, so that you can obviously obtain that discount benefit. So initially, we set up a discount settlement discounts, and we then went to go link them to certain suppliers or customers and suppliers. So if I go to that supplier or that customer, and just go check at this disc settlement terms, and this one is telling me that if I were to pay my account, or if the customer were to pay their account 30 days from the date of the statement, we would be allowing them a 7% settlement discount percentage. Right, so let's just go check it out. And we're just going to go and just confirm the balance on this customer. Right, so I do have a balance there of, that's the value. Right, so in this particular case, I'm going to go to process a normal batch for my customer. Let's just go and set up a couple of defaults here before we continue. And let's just go there and do a batch transaction. Right, so it's a normal accounts receivable batch. And I'm good to go. Insert those details. So I'm now going to be receiving payment from my customer. And there's the customer details. And it's a PM transaction type. Let's just go and specify that. Right, and obviously we're now going to go, for example, insert the values there. Let's just say that's the value. And if you see that there's an option for settlement discounts. So I'm going to click on that option. And as you can see, it tells me that in this particular instance, there's a settlement discount which a customer is allowed to take based on their settlement terms, which happens to be $14.99. Right, no problem there. So that's the balance outstanding for the customer's account. And because they're paying within a certain time frame, within the settlement terms, they're entitled to take that discount. Right, but now let's just go and take it a step further. And just say, for example, remember is that this customer terms are 30 days from date of statement, which means that if the transaction needs to be paid within 30 days from the statement was issued, which is normally at the end of the month. So I'm just going to change this slightly and say, right, on that particular day, okay, no problem there, still applicable, as the payment date falls within the discount or settlement discount period. However, I'm just going to make a couple of changes there and say, if the transaction happens on that particular day, and I move to settlement discounts, as you can see, it tells me that there are no valid transactions that apply to settlement discounts, simply because the transaction has taken place outside the settlement terms that I've linked to their customer's account. So as you can see, we are going to be allowing customers to discount if they pay their accounts within a certain time frame. However, if they fail to meet that particular time frame, then no settlement discounts will be applicable. Right, so as you can see, we have a couple of options with regards to settlements or discounts within Sage 200 Evolution. And the two platforms would be document discounts and settlement discounts. The settlement discounts, once again, applicable when payments are being received from customers or payments are being made to suppliers. And then the document discounts, as the name implies, it's going to be discounts which are applicable when a document is processed. So if you just go and quickly recap, we do know that on processing a document, let's just go to an invoice. Okay, we've got details about the settlement terms. So if there's a settlement term on the customer's account, those details will appear here. And then we're also able to add line discount to individual items. So you may want to, for example, discount certain line items for a customer. You can do that on the line item itself. And then if you are going to be having automatic discount, it's going to appear there, which is a discount automatically allocated to a document for a supplier or customer, irrespective of what they purchase, when they purchase it, how many they purchase. And remember just to ensure that you selected the use automatic discount option on the defaults for your document types and your inventory defaults. Then we then go to the volume discount contracts. So as the name says, it's a discount of volume based on volume purchased or volume items purchased, and that can then be linked to a customer, a range of customers, or all customers. And once again, we then need to go and link which particular stock items are applicable on that contract. So once again, there could be individual stock items, inventory groups or group of items, and also all items. The important thing here is to determine is a discount going to be a unit price or a percentage? And is it going to, if it's a unit price based on the inclusive or exclusive price? And the major parameter here is saying effective start and end date. So volume discounts will only be applicable if the transaction occurs within the date specified on the contract itself. Right, then obviously just specifying the different levels based on the discount percentage or prices, depending on the quantity purchased for those items or of those items. And then finally, we have the discount matrix, which is on a percentage basis. And it's a case of setting up a grid, either for your customers or your suppliers, linking them to stock items, and then just completing the grid with the relevant discount percentages. So remember is that this is a discount which is based on a one-to-one basis. So it's one stock item, one customer. And then to implement that, you'd need to go to the relevant customer or supplier, specify what particular area or node on the grid they're applicable to. And same thing applies to inventory items. So there we go, there's our inventory items. And let's just go in there. Under our defaults, we've got the ability to specify the matrix link there. So if the system sees that the transaction's been processed for a certain customer or supplier, they need to have obviously that matrix link on it. And then if the item corresponds, you're automatically going to have a discount line percentage, okay? And that is irrespective of the quantity being purchased, as well as the date that the transaction is taking place. So as you can see, a whole variety of discounts that can be implemented within the program. You just decide which one's most applicable and set them up accordingly. I do hope that this webinar has been useful. Thank you so much for watching. It's over and out from me. Thank you and goodbye.